Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Let us continue with our tafsir of Surah Aal-Imraan. Bihawlillahi wa quwwatih. We are on ayah number 65. قال الله تعالى: يا أهل الكتاب لم تحاجون في إبراهيم وما أنزلت التوراة والإنجيل إلا من بعده أفلا تعقلون. In this ayah, Allah Jalla wa Ala calls out to the people of the book and He says, why tuhajjun? Do you dispute? We talked about this verb hajja before. Why do you dispute fi Ibrahim, about Ibrahim, the famous prophet alayhi salatu wasalam, when the Torah and the Injil were not revealed until after him? أَفَلَا تَعْقِلُونَ. Do you not use your intellects? So the dispute that we are talking about is that the Yahud would say that Ibrahim is a Jew, and that the Christians would say that Ibrahim was a Christian. This is the dispute. But the Quran says that during the time of Ibrahim, neither the Torah nor the Injil were revealed. And we only know about Judaism from the Torah. And we only know about Christianity from the Injil. And this is in accordance with the admission of the Jews and the Christians themselves. So if that's the case, then Ibrahim could neither have been a Jew nor a Christian, because the scriptures talking about the deen of Christians and the Jews were not yet revealed. Even today, no Christian will claim that before the New Testament there were Christians, and no Jew would claim that before the Old Testament there were any Jews. They only know their religions from the New Testament and from the Old Testament. So in this ayah, Allah is refuting this claim of theirs that Ibrahim was a Jew or a Christian. And just in case they try to turn it around and say, well, hang on, the Quran was also not revealed during the time of Ibrahim, so how could he have been a Muslim? And the answer is, we say that Islam did not begin with the Quran. This is not our position. Rather, Islam began with the creation of Adam alayhi salam amongst humankind. And there was no Quran, of course, at that time. But Islam and being a Muslim is the default position of mankind. If the first man was a Muslim and he was a prophet, then all other succeeding prophets, who all have essentially the same religion, would have to have been Muslims. So reflecting on this ayah, we take that the ayah refutes the specious arguments of the Jews and the Christians. And so for us as well, we are to refute the arguments that are circulating amongst the people using evidence and sound thinking. Notice when he uses the word aql here, then he's referring to the aql al-irshad, the intellect which guides you to acting and behaving in the correct manner. Not the aql al-idrak, which is all about comprehension, where you are able to understand matters properly so that you are not insane. As for this idea of using intellect, then we say it can be used as long as it does not contradict any text. It also cannot be used to affirm any point of aqidah, because we have to rely on text alone there. However, it can be used to refute points of aqidah which is not in accordance with the text. We also take from this ayah that the Torah and the Injil was sent down by Allah Jalla wa Ala. As for the Injil, it is a speech of Allah just like the Quran. But as for the Torah, then we know that it was written by Allah. And so this is why some scholars say that Allah did not speak the Torah, rather He wrote it down. And so based on that, it is not from the speech of Allah, but it is from the message of Allah, and it is definitely revealed from Allah, so it is divinely revealed. Ayah number 66. Ha antum ha'ula'i hajajtum فيما لكم به علم فلم تحاجون فيما ليس لكم به علم والله يعلم وأنتم لا تعلمون. He says ha antum. The ha does not really have a meaning. It is just there to catch somebody's attention. It's like saying alas, ha antum, you are the ones. You are ha'ula'i, meaning these people, so it would in totality read you are the ones. He's emphasizing the fact that it is you and you alone, referring to the Ahlul Kitab. He says, حاججتم, you have disputed, فيما, in what, لكم به علم, you have knowledge about. So what is that referring to? It is referring to the Ahlul Kitab arguing using the knowledge they find in their scripture. So matters pertaining to their deen and their beliefs as found in their scripture. So Allah is saying, you have argued with regards to these matters. Okay, fine. But then why are you arguing about matters in which you do not have any knowledge? So what is that referring to? It is referring to their claim that Ibrahim was either a Jew or a Christian. Because they have no knowledge of that matter. Remember, the Torah and the Injil were not revealed during the time of Ibrahim, and they do not call Ibrahim a Jew or a Christian either, even in their scriptures. Allah knows and you do not know, meaning Allah is the one who knows. The actual deen that Ibrahim a.s. was upon, you people, O Ahl al-Kitab, do not know. So notice in the previous ayah, he negated intellect from them, and in this ayah he's negating knowledge from them. So reflecting on this ayah, we can again take a lesson that we took a few ayat back, that you do not need to be too harsh in argumentation. You can give your opponents credit for the sake of argument. So he's saying that you argued about matters in which you have knowledge. So he's saying that if we suppose that we accept these arguments from you, where you have used your text, then even if we do accept this, we can never accept from you an argument about which you have no text. So we can give you this, but we can never give you that. From this ayah we pick up the absolutely vital lesson that you must not argue and debate unless you have full knowledge of what you are speaking about. And of course this lesson is clear. Allah Jalla wa Ala rebukes the Ahlul Kitab for arguing about that which they do not have full knowledge. Ayah number 67. ما كان إبراهيم يهوديا ولا نصرانيا ولكن كان حنيفا مسلما وما كان من المشركين. So from the last ayah, when Allah tells us that He knows and you do not know, He's telling us what He knows. That Ibrahim a.s. was not a Yahudi nor Nasrani, but rather he was a Hanif Musliman, and he was not from the Mushrikeen. So as for the word Yahud, some say it comes from their forefather Yahuda, and some say it comes from the verb hada, meaning to return, because that's what they said when they repented from worshipping the golden calf. And as for Nasrani, then it comes from Nasr, helper. These are the helpers of Isa alayhi salam, when his disciples said, Nahnu Ansarullah, we are the helpers of Allah. As for the word Hanif, it means to incline to something which is good. The opposite to that would be Janaf, would be inclining to something which is bad. So Hanif, inclining to that which is good, meaning inclining to Tawheed. Musliman, Muslim meaning the one who submits to Allah, surrenders, from Istislam, which means to surrender, and he was not from Mushrikeen. Mushrik from Ashraka, so shirk means sharing. So if you share with Allah anything which belongs to Allah uniquely, then this is shirk. And the obvious form of that is to worship something besides Allah. And in this last section of the ayah, it is hinting at the fact that the Yahud and Nasara are mushrikun. Also it is hinting at the mushrikun of the Arab, because they believe that they are upon the deen of Ibrahim. And the ayah is saying, no, he was not from the mushrikeen. So the ayah is hinting at all these three groups of people and refuting their beliefs. So reflecting on this ayah, we find that Ibrahim a.s. was straight out a Muslim. Sure, he did not have the Quran, but you do not need the Quran. The default is that all prophets were Muslims. The Quran is more to do with the Sharia Muhammadiyah, the Sharia brought by Muhammad ﷺ. Yes, you need the Quran for that, but the basic Islam itself was something which was shared amongst all the prophets and their followers, from Adam a.s. onwards. There's also an interesting point that can be spotted in this ayah. It seems to be following this little rule that the ulama give, تخلية قبل تحلية. You clean the place first and then you adorn it. So look how he rejects Judaism and Christianity from Ibrahim, so he clears it from the impurity, and then he adorns it with Islam. Takhliya qabla tahliya. This is the little phrase. We can also take, perhaps indirectly, that your tawheed cannot be proper until and unless you remove yourself far from kufr. And this is more explicitly seen in the shahada, when they say La ilaha illallah. The La ilaha part is removing yourself from all forms of kufr and shirk. And the illallah, then you adorn yourself with the belief of Allah Jalla wa Ala. You need both. One without the other is no good. هذا والله أعلم.